The Guerilla Collective happened today. The first, like, sort of whiff, smell, pungent of E3 has arrived in the form of the Guerilla Collective Day 1. This is the second year they've done this now. Is sort of an indie game showcase run by the Mix and sponsored by several people, and they run it. It's going to be a yearly thing now, I think. We were sort of unclear whether we should do reactions to this because of the nature of how last year went and how we didn't know what this year's was going to be too much. So we said we'll stick back and we'll just like cover it on Playhouse Live instead. There were 48 indie games shown at this event, John. It's a lot to take in. I thoroughly encourage... Do you know what is great about Guerilla Collective? There are several good reasons for it. And like before we get into the games, I want to talk about this. In the digital age, in the COVID age, where there's not physical conferences, I've talked about this before. It's a great way for indie games to get their name out there to potential investors, to people that need to know. Because they can't do that. There's no like digital conference rooms where they can go and pitch their game. There might be, but there certainly aren't that many. It's not the same. So like getting as many indie games out there as possible is good. Getting the name recognition out there. And also like it's great to have on in the background. Like when I'm doing stuff, when I'm like working, I can have the Guerilla Collective on the second monitor, and I can see, like, I can peel my eyes over when something catches my eye and be like, that's a name I'll remember. I think they handled it quite well for the sheer amount of games that they had. They didn't breeze over too many things. They gave everyone ample time. So we'll not be talking about everything today. I encourage people to go and watch it if they're interested in indie games and looking for some new things to go to. However, there are 10-ish games that me and John both saw something in, like saw some potential in, that we want to highlight in case you missed it right today and want the sort of cliff notes. Let's go through them on a list. The first one, don't even know how to pronounce his name, so it's a good start. Anno Mutanium?
Mutanium.
Anno. We're going to call it Anno. Yeah. This got shown off. I believe you were the one who like picked this out as you're like, this is a game I want to talk about. What caught your eye? This is the first game they showed, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I still have a sting from Cyberpunk 2077, so I'm very hesitant when I see Cyberpunk now, any kind of Cyberpunk setting. But right off the bat, I was like, okay, I can actually get behind just the aesthetic that they did with this, and I just liked how it actually looked. Mm-hmm. And it didn't do anything. It didn't really give me anything like story-wise, in my opinion. It just it checked off a lot of those marks of what is this? What is going on? I want to learn. I want to learn more about this world. So like dangling the carrot in front of me enough to go, okay, you have my attention. What is happening? Why do we like what we're seeing right now is just this digital concept of almost like I'm learning, like downloading a fight code and I get to actually do this. I don't know, but there's something about it that I'm just like, I need to know more. I need to keep an eye on this game and I want to know more.
It is definitely doing that thing I like where it's now possible you can make pixel art games with this sort of 2.5D depth and a lot of like nice lighting effects and stuff. So definitely into that. What this game reminded me of, not really in terms of combat, because it's sort of real-time combat, but in like the traversal of the world and the story and stuff, how that plays out, reminded me of what I did play of 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. Right. Also, the main criticism of this trailer is I would have appreciated some voice acting. Because it was hard to appreciate the sheer beauty of this game while I was looking at subtitles below. I was like, trying to follow everything. As I mentioned, this game started off the Guerilla Collective, and it instantly like re-centered my brain because I noticed twice this happened during the trailer where a Steam notification popped up in the bottom right.
Yeah,
as part of the trailer, and I was like, this is just some guy, and he only had time to film like a little bit of his game, and he wasn't doing retakes. So it's like, it's down to earth, it's grassroots. It set me in the right frame of mind, I think, for this whole conference. Even the hosts were very like, they clearly like hadn't written the script and were just like going off the fly, which sort of can come off as awkward to some people, but like for me, it was quite wholesome. It was different to what you get from Wii 3. It wasn't so totally polished, and I kind of like that. It's kind of what I want from a Guerilla Collective.
I think what got me, and I don't know if it got you, Finn, was the... All right, we're back. Oh, man, those games, that was great. It was awesome. Dope. And I was just like, okay, you could have at least like known what you guys were going to show off in steps so you could at least go, oh, man, you know, on Anno looks really sick. I like the Cyberpunk. I'm really excited for that one. Kind of just add a little bit of the personal touch to it.
Yeah. Next one I want to talk about was the Eternal Cylinder. I don't know if you remember this game, John, but it was at last year's Guerilla Collective as well. Definite vibes with Spore. I always mention how hard it is, like especially when you're going through 48 games and such. It's very hard to like really remember a game from one of these indie showcases.
Yeah.
And this was one I instantly remember because of how like visually different it is, and these little character models, these little like weird snorts, whatever. Yeah. But it definitely, the premise is interesting to me, right? It's a roguelike, the cylinder constantly following you. What I liked about this trailer is it did assume that you know a little bit about this game, and it was talking about like mostly new stuff. Like they were showing off these weird ass creature designs I love, like this thing right here, this like weird metal baby head that's like on a wheel and has a flashlight and can remove your evolutions. And yeah, I think the comparisons to Spore are definitely like welcomed by this game. I think that's what they're going for. But I think what the key difference is to Spore is that the evolutions are mostly mechanically focused. So like there's not a whole, like the thing that went wrong with Spore is that there were too many evolutions and they couldn't make, like you could make abominations and it turn into a bad game. But I think like there's some cool little ways they're using evolutions in this iteration of this game, and so I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool of me. Yeah, Spore meets Pikmin is what you said about it, and I think I think that's accurate. This one, you brought this up.
I did, yes.
Ruby, the Wayward Mirror. Talk about what struck you about this game, because I'm interested.
I weirdly enough, okay, so in my notes, I'll say everything. Metroid in a bikini. What got me was, one, I really, really like 2D platformers. Like I like a platformer that has a great like mechanic to it, and there's a teleport mechanic that hopefully we'll be able to see in the trailer real fast. But what got me was the amount of hip wiggle that we got in this trailer blows my damn mind. I'm like, why is this a thing?
Excessive. The idle animation.
It is excessive.
Right. So, like, the game, right? Okay. I could only think of Shantae while watching this trailer. Yes. And I think that's what they're going for. But, like, Shantae, whenever she's doing her idle animation or she's dancing or whatever, she does a hip wiggle. She really goes for it. Yeah. And that's part of the charm of the game, I think. But this idle animation was, like, just constantly, like, how did she not throw her hip out of her body? It was so aggressive and like concerning for this character model.
And especially like you're looking at it, like when you're watching like this is a Metroid. I can tell this is kind of a love letter to Metroid, but I mean it's Metroid when you're throwing dollar bills at her and like it's Samus going to town and you're like, what? Why? I'm still very interested. I know they were talking about how it's fairly difficult, and I like a game with good pushback, but oh my God, I felt bad for the girl, for Ruby. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. The platform mechanics actually look quite cool.
Yeah.
Quite fast-paced, quite challenging. But I definitely could see myself being frustrated by them. I would need to get my hands on to really get a concept of that. Moving on to the next game. Let me get my list back up here. Scrolling down. Oh yeah, there's a little bit I wanted to talk about. Not actually a game, but worth talking about. So the way they did it this year was they had the Guerilla Collective Day 1 showcase, but they also mixed in with that, and as part of the after show, they had the Black Voices in Gaming freshman class showing up. This is a sort of collaborate, or not really a collaborate, well, sort of a collaboration, but a collection, of Black video game creators working on indie games. There was stuff like Kenna there, Aerial Knights Never Yield, who was actually on the show and talking with the host a little bit. And a lot of other games. It was a quick sizzle reel followed by a quick discussion between the hosts talking about what this means. They had a sizzle reel going through all these games, and I thought for a sizzle reel, it is a very, very well done sizzle reel. My beef with sizzle reels, John, is that they go through all these games and look at how many games we have, but they don't actually do enough to indent these in your memory. So they have a website, which is blackvoicesingaming.com, where you can go and you can get more details on all these games. They also have this poster, which I'm going to throw up right now.
That poster is so good looking.
Which is very nice. Original art done for this freshman class, as it were. Super, super nice art. And as you see the way this poster's laid out, they actually show you which game is which in this poster, which I think is really good for driving home the importance that these are. We're not just boasting about how many creators we have. We're actually showing you what these games are, and if you're interested in them, we can you can find them and look into them and follow them and stuff. So really, really cool. They said they're going to do more of these, whether it's going to be next year, whether it's going to be a rolling thing as the seasons go on, just adding freshman classes. I think this is a really, really cool deal. And afterwards they had the sort of so this Guerilla Collective was sort of a hit after hit trailer thing, but in the post show, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm sort of keeping for, again, Sega Monitor experience, they had some gameplay demos where they sat down with the creators and talked about them. What I think was really cool about the discussion that they had on the actual show was that Neil Jones, or Aerial Knight, behind Aerial Knights Never Yield, that released this year, he mentioned that they knew there were a lot of black creators out there, and they were all doing their thing, but they hadn't really come into contact with each other before. And he was saying how through this program they met each other and talked to each other for the first time, and sort of getting connections that way, which is really important in the indie game industry. So just an all-around great program. And again, that's blackvoicesingaming.com, I believe it is, where you can go and look up all the games that were shown off there and a bit more about the program itself. Also going back to this just being grassroots and down to earth, when they were doing this segment, the camera for the host was spilling into the other person's camera, and I loved it. It was just one of those things I know that pain. That's fine. Also, Aerial Knight's back wall was full of dope posters, and I couldn't take my eyes off him.
I don't know how he did that. That was freaking great.
Really, really.
I'm with you. I loved how Aerial Knight was we're able to get together, we're able to meet each other, and it was one of those, we're doing this freshman class, we're doing this Black Voices in Gaming to help each other and kind of boost each other up to get these games seen by people. And I'm like, hell yes, I am in on this. I want to know every single one of these games. I just want to play good games. And so I was really, really excited to watch the little montage and see what's going on. If that is that poster for sale, I want the poster.
I would buy that poster. That'd be pretty cool. This is one of yours that you wanted to mention, Super Space Club.
Yes.
Talk about this game a little bit. What caught your eye?
All right, so it's hopefully you guys know me well enough. I love coin-op machines. I love arcade machines. And this game just reminded me so much of Asteroid that I just fell in love with it. It's a lo-fi space combat. So you got lo-fi beats going on while you're dodging shit and blowing up crap. I don't know how that's going to work, but I absolutely love it. And I like that it's an endless gunner. That, to me, that's one of those games that you can just literally pop on, sit down, start listening to the lo-fi, and just go. Nothing hopefully too overly stressful, but simple, easy. I love shmups. I know this really isn't a shmup, but it's one of those, it's right up my alley. I love lo-fi beats, just simple, easy. I loved the art. It just made so much sense that I'm like, this is a day one game for John.
I said in the notes, I think I will learn to hate this game.
I see that. I love being able to see our notes. It's great.
I I love lo-fi, you know what I do, and I love games that can get by with like simple geometry art styles, like just triangles and squares and circles. And this game does a lot of that. What I hate is that there's so much white going on, and the white is your bullets, the impact, the power-ups, it's everything. Everything's white. The obstacles, everything's white. And it seems to me like maybe it'll be different when I get my hands on it, but it seems to me like it'll be impossible to distinguish what's the good white and what's the bad white on the screen.
That's just asteroids to me.
Okay,
I mean, I was just like, that's just asteroids. So I'm like, I will figure it out. But yeah, I follow what you're saying. I think there's something simple about this, and that's what caught me, just the simplicity behind it.
I'm open to having my mind changed on that game, though, for sure. As I was in the game. This next one, Inglet.
Inglet.
Yeah, I believe it's pronounced Inglet. This game looks wild. So much like gameplay variety shown in such a like short space of time. Traversal looks interesting. It's sort of like a mix of Line Rider and something else that I can't describe.
What's that game? Cell? So the Cell game that you could play where you're just another cell trying to eat each other?
Oh, not Agario, it's the one before that. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that vibe from this too.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure. It looks like interactive art, which I always like. This stuff, like, let me go back a few frames here. This interested me because it looks like as you're like solving puzzles going through this world, you're like making a town. And I kind of want to see because I love town building in games. So I want to see what that's all about. Didn't expect that in this type of game. But no, it just looks very fun to like traverse through this world. You have like a little blink mechanic where you can blink forth. Very, very cool. And a weird name. Love a game with a weird name. Inglet. That was one of mine. Moving on to our last couple here, I want to highlight Endling Extinction is Forever. This is another one of mine, actually. I'll get it up here real quick. So this is a game where the narrative premise is that you are the last family of foxes. You're protecting your cubs. All of the rest were made extinct by humans. And so you're just like traveling through this world trying to protect your cubs in a world that's kind of like barren and human infested. Narratively, it feels like Last of Us, but based on foxes. But gameplay-wise, it looks like Inside. And that makes me very happy. They showed off a few like mechanical interesting things in this. Your like fox cubs, who are adorable, are following you through the game. And I was like, okay, dumb companions that I'm not going to be able to do anything with. That's going to suck. But then they show you that like later in the game, you'll teach your cubs to fend on their own, and they're going to be able to help you do some stuff. I thought that was kind of cool to show off that. You can use your smell to unlock the story, see where people have been, as they're showing off here. Just, yeah, this feels good vibes. This feels like a fin joint, for sure.
I question how many, like, not in a bad way, how many Fox games can we have that where cubs get taken or died? Because that was the first tree. That was like, it was one of those things, like, that was the first thing I got was, I'm like, and I said in my notes, what is it with foxes losing their cubs?
Sometimes it happens. I was just like, nature's lit.
I'm with you. I was just like, Jesus, I lost my shit watching. I didn't even play First Tree. Rose played First Tree, and I'm in tears. I'm crying from this game, and I'm like, oh, crap, here we go again. Yeah. Which I 100% agree with everything you said. It feels like Last of Us Inside. I'm in for this.
Mm-hmm. Next one that's up is Omno, a game I have had my eye on as well, because I've seen it at a few different indie conferences. I think it was at Xbox, I think it was at Nintendo's and stuff. The thing that freaks me out about this game the most is flesh hair. The main character, he has flesh hair. It's like the Bart Simpson thing where it's like you don't know where his hair ends and his scalp begins. So that freaks me out. Look at it, just like a fleshy thing just hanging off there. It's weird. But otherwise, I look at this game and I feel the need to pay attention to it. Just something about it screams like this is going to be in Game of the Year conversations. This is going to be one of those games where it's like, play this game, shaking people and telling them to play the game on Twitter. A lot of the traversal looks fun, like this little snowboarding thing. A lot of it's based on the staff. You can do this weird like warp jump thing to the next zone. A lot of really weird creature designs. Game just looks beautiful. Reminds me a little bit of Journey, but a little bit more momentum based, a little bit faster. But yeah, it just caught my eye. Oh, and the flesh hair. I want the flesh hair to go away. Really bad. This next one was me as well. This was probably my favorite one of the show. The Legend... I'm gonna botch this name because I forgot how to pronounce it. The Legend of Chanding. They had a few games by Neon Doctrine, which is a publisher, and shout outs to the showmanship as well. This game is based in Taiwan. I thought that was interesting from the start because you don't see many games based in Taiwan. I wonder why. This trailer looks insane. Lot of stuff going on. It sort of ramps up gradually over the course of the trailer. So they've got this comic thing. It's based off Taiwanese folklore. And so you can see it's a beat 'em up kind of Streets of Rage style, showing off a few like boss battle mechanics here, a lot of environment stuff. Story is told through like these comic strips, which I think is very good. Like a very sort of cheap way to like not like have facial animations and stuff. Like do work that way. I think comic strips is a nice way to do it. There's a lot going on, a lot of weird boss battle mechanics. A lot of like story-based action because this is telling a folklore story, which I thought was quite cool. Maybe a bit more than you get in like for Streets of Rage. A lot of cool platforming traversal mechanics, and then like near the end, there's this gambling game which like completely sold me. I was like, if I wasn't in before, I'm in now because that looks fun. I don't know how to play it, but I'm going to learn and I'm going to take everybody's money. And yeah, like the combat itself, it looks Streets of Ragey enough, or like at least that level of quality for me to be like, yeah, I'm in, big time. The next one, I feel like we have to talk about Jacob Jazz.
Oh my god!
So I'm gonna play. I haven't played the audio for these trailers. I'm gonna pump a little bit of the audio for this one. I love how games are like little dreams that people make, right? And like how it's the only media form where you can take your dream, your brain, and like just put it in people's hands and let them experience it. And that's what this feels like. Jacob Jazz had a vision, and he is not restrained by anyone or anything.
He went for it. This one, I don't even know what to say about this game.
This is the type of stuff you love to see at indie conferences. It's so different from any trailer you've seen. You made comparisons to American McGee, which I thought was quite interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely some weird, like, puppet character models going on. I saw
American McGee, Franbo. I can't tell if there's, like, FMV in this game. Like, I don't know if it was just him talking was just kind of an artistic point, or is his, like, CRT head going to be in the whole damn thing? And I was confused and scared. I was a little scared. I'm not gonna lie. I think I tripped a lot of acid in that minute and a half trailer.
Yeah, so that's a fair point. I don't know if Jacob Jazz is actually in the game or whether he's just in the trailer and just like freaking out. I don't know. But I am in day one on this. Love you, Jacob Jazz. The Legend of Right was an interesting one that I've seen several times before. Every time they show this trailer, I get the same vibe. It's like, we are doing everything you can to make you notice us in an indie game showcase. It has this really unique sketchbook art style. You're playing in a sketchbook. Like, they could get by with just that, but they go bonkers as well. There's like a bunch of other stuff. There's like these little paper puppets. You go into this like little paper mache world. You sort of jump out of the sketchbook and do this stuff. It looks bananas. I feel like they're pressuring me to buy it, and it's working. It did say at the end of this trailer releasing 2020, which I think was a typo. Because I don't know if this game's out yet.
I'm pretty sure we saw this last year at either Guerilla Collective or like Wholesome Games. I remember watching this trailer, so I wonder if they just did not update it.
Yeah, maybe. It's visually striking. You don't need to do another trailer when this is your trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super, super wild. Yeah, Legend of Right releasing 2020, coming in 2020. So we'll see what the update is on that one. Anyone in chat know? Let us know. Is there any more? No, that was the last one we were covering. Unless I missed one, John. Do you think I missed any?
I meant to click it and I didn't click it. Let me find it real fast. It was El Paso Elsewhere.
Ah, yes.
I meant to say I wanted to talk about it. I was like, hey, you skipped one. And I was going through. I'm like, oh no, I didn't check it. So that's my bad. This is the one that caught my eye actually.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just this strange low poly Matrix movie or Matrix style movie game that just I don't know what was going on and I want more. I loved just the whole layout of it. From the trailer, if I remember correctly, like you're trying to save your wife who's at the 80th, I think, floor of this hotel, and you're just going up to get her. Mm-hmm. And so it's just floor by floor, clearing rooms, clearing the floor, and getting it through. And it looks like hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It really does, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like this reminds me of playing Enter the Matrix, or no, The Path of Neo, on like the PlayStation 2.
Yeah. For me, it screams PlayStation 1, actually, and I always appreciate a game that can do that PS1 style and pull it off. What I don't like is how when I see those games, I'm apprehensive to get excited because they usually use that art style as like a crutch to excuse any sort of technical or mechanical shortcomings the game may have.
Yeah.
It's like we're just making it feel like a PS1 game. It's like, no, it's 2021. I want a game to look like that PS1 game, but also do things that you couldn't do on the PS1 and like break my mind that way. And I feel like there's a lot of subtle hints in this trailer that are going to go weird like that. Doing some weird lighting effects and stuff. Yeah, definitely piqued my interest. But yeah, definitely brings me back to some PS1 shooters. Like that graveyard is pulled straight out of like Medieval or something. Super, super good. So that was only day one of the Guerilla Collective. There's going to be another one of these. We'll see what happens whenever we get that far. Rose says the most recent tweet from the Legend of Right account was from December 2020, saying it's been delayed to 2021. So obviously it's not out yet. Good stuff. I'll be jumping on that when that comes out.